Koroks ruin modern Zelda, and here's why. Here's the thing. While many of us adore the Koroks for their whimsical flair, there's a spirited debate among fans about whether they're an annoying, soulless husk of their predecessors, the Kokiri. Come along as we dive into this lighthearted clash of opinions and unravel the essence of what makes these forest dwellers so captivating in their own unique ways. In the magical realm of Hyrule, a group of forest-dwelling beings known as the Kokiri once thrived. Today, we embark on a journey to uncover why these charismatic children of the forest were better than their evolved counterparts, the Koroks. Before we get into why the Kokiri are so much more appealing, let's talk about just what the Kokiri are and how they were transformed into the Koroks we know today. The Kokiri are a race of childlike forest dwellers. They reside in the Kokiri forest, under the watchful protection of the Great Deku Tree. Each Kokiri is accompanied by a fairy companion and remains eternally in a childlike form. This leads to the Kokiri forming a close-knit little community inside of their mystical woodland home. In the Wind Waker, set hundreds of years after the events of Ocarina of Time, the land of Hyrule is submerged by a great flood. The Kokiri, who once lived in the Kokiri forest, evolved into the Koroks to adapt to their new environment. The flooding of Hyrule resulted in a vast hostile sea known as the Great Sea, with few islands scattered across its surface. To survive in this new world, the Kokiri underwent a transformation into the Koroks, turning them into small plant-like creatures with leafy faces. With the help of the Great Deku Tree, their guardian deity, the Kokiri adopted the ability to fly using Deku leaves as propellers. This aerial ability allowed them to traverse the Great Sea and spread seeds across the islands, aiding in the growth of new forests. Unlike the Koroks, the Kokiri were relatable as people, each with their own unique appearance and personalities. They formed deep bonds with each other, akin to childhood friends facing hardships together. For example, Saria's infatuation with being Link's best friend, and because of it, the jealousy that the Kokiri Mido felt. When comparing the Korok to the Kokiri, we don't see that sort of personality in them. That, coupled with the fact that the Koroks, aside from a specific few, have no differentiation in appearance to numerous other Koroks, is quite disappointing. The Kokiri have their own personality, their own looks. Heck, they have their own unique faces for crying out loud. Overall, the Kokiri are just more personable and relatable than their Korok descendants. The Kokiri had a profound connection with the Great Deku Tree, relying on him for guidance and protection. He was their guardian deity, watching over them from his meadow, offering them protection from the outside world. The Kokiri feared that if they left the forest, that they would die. And so, the Great Deku Tree offers them protection, warding off any threats. He also bestows upon them their own personal fairy to guide and protect them, each fairy shining a unique color. Why is it that when the Kokiri evolved to become Koroks, they no longer have fairies? To remove the fairy from the equation is such a disappointing transition. The fairies were their very own people, separate from the Kokiri and the Korok. Although fairies wouldn't be removed from future Zelda games, there would be no more character interactions with fairies, aside from healing fairies found in the wild. And the great fairies. It's wild to me that the design change of the Kokiri into the Koroks would have such a negative impact on interactions with another species in Hyrule, aside from their own. The only dialogue we'll be getting from fairies from now on will be of the questionably spicy sort. Not that that's a bad thing. Mommy? The Kokiri played pivotal roles in Hyrule's history, with Saria emerging as a sage and using her power to aid her friends. Mido, being so devastated after losing the Great Deku Tree and Saria, ventured outside the forest, proving that the Kokiri actually could survive on their own without the Great Deku Tree's protection, showcasing the depth of their emotions and bonds. While similar stories have occurred with one Korok in particular, Makar, modern Zelda refuses to incorporate the Korok in a meaningful way, other than annoying hide-and-seek Korok seed puzzles. Why would you take one of the most beloved and impactful species in the franchise and reduce them to this? The Kokiri left a lasting impression on other races, their forest children legend, telling of their ties to fairies. The legend of the forest children may have even been a part of why Link's mother in Ocarina of Time would flee the war and deliver Link to the great Deku Tree. The Koroks, on the other hand, seem to have no significance to Hyrule beyond their interactions with Link. Because, after all, Link is supposedly the only Hylian even capable of visually seeing the Korok, as is hinted in Breath of the Wild. Think back to Saria's song from Ocarina, and how it impacted the Goron leader, Darunia. All in all, somehow the Kokiri, a people who could not leave their forest, made more of an impact on the outside lands of Hyrule than 1,000 hide-and-seek playing Koroks scattered in every corner of their Hyrule ever could have. In the heart of the forest, the greatness of the Kokiri was beautifully highlighted through their relatability, deep connections to the protagonist, their vulnerabilities, their strength, and their courage to find hope when all hope was lost. As we celebrate these mystical children of the forest, their legacy remains a cherished chapter in the grand tale of Hyrule. And as a fan of modern Zelda, as well as the classics, I'd love to see their return. Or at least something more than just hide-and-seek playing Koroks. All jokes aside, I really hope you guys enjoyed my video. I'm not regularly a negative person, but I wanted to share my thoughts and see what you guys thought about my controversial Zelda take. I'll try to make the next video a bit more upbeat and heartwarming. Hit the subscribe button and turn on my notifications if you don't want to miss out. Also, I made a short documentary-style video talking about the 10,000-year-old calamity. It should be on screen now. I'd love to know what you guys and girlies think. I'm 1UP Blake, and I'll toss you lovelies a 1UP in my next video.